When will those $1,400 stimulus checks be sent? Well, Democrats are set to approve it in both the House and the Senate in the first week of February. Let's discuss the details in this video. But first, don't forget to like this video and subscribe. I post updates almost daily. I'd also like to thank my sponsor, Webull. They've partnered with me to provide free stocks for my viewers, valued up to $3,700. It's completely free and takes 2 minutes. All you need to do is open an account using my link. The link is in the description of this video, just below the like button. Feel free to sell the stocks immediately to use the money if you'd like. Just make sure to fully open an account and then click on the green button that says Get Free Stocks. Okay, let's quickly recap what's included in this stimulus package. That's a $1,400 stimulus check for adults, an extra $1,400 check for dependents, including both children and adult dependents, that $400 per week unemployment boost, which would last until the end of September, an extra child tax credit. So everyone that has a child under 18 would receive between $250 or $300 per month in extra stimulus income, as well as more money for rental assistance. And Biden already approved executive orders, including that student loan freeze and that eviction freeze. But what about that Social Security boost? We still have no word on that yet, but I will cover that a little more in detail later in this video. Well, as Biden pushes for a bipartisan bill, Bernie Sanders is calling for a bill to be approved quickly if Republicans are not willing to get on board. Let's see what Bernie had to say.
Are you in the mood for compromise? Do you feel like you are willing to come their direction and meet somewhere in the middle?
Look, it's not a question of the middle. It's a question of responding to the crises. I don't know what the middle is when you deal with climate change, and scientists tell us we have a few years to address that crisis, or else there'll be irreparable harm. I don't know what being in the middle means when half of our population is working paycheck to paycheck, when 40 million people are facing eviction, when we have massive levels of income and wealth inequality. So, of course, I want to work with Republicans. And I would hope very much that my Republican colleagues feel the pain of so many working-class people in this country who are trying to feed their kids, trying not to get evicted from their homes, trying to be able to go to a doctor and pay the bills. So bottom line is, we got crises. We have got to respond and respond aggressively. We should reach out to our Republican colleagues, hear what they have to say. But we're not going to spend, if I have anything to say about it, months and months and years and not address the incredible pain that working families in the middle class, small businesses are now experiencing.
So let me know your thoughts in the comments below regarding what Bernie Sanders just said. Now, bottom line here, we have 3 potential outcomes as to when you'll get that $1,400 stimulus check. And let's look at the Senate calendar. Now, if you look in the middle of your screen, February, you'll see those red dates starting February 13th. That is when they are set to go on recess once again. Now, this is why February 12th is our first deadline. Now, there is a 50-50 chance that we'll get this stimulus package approved by February 12th, and let me explain. Now, as Joe Biden wants to move in with a bipartisan support package, Bernie Sanders is calling for quick action if Republicans do not get on board by February 12th. And Pelosi has said that the House will approve this bill that very first week of February, so in about 9 days. They will then pass it to the Senate, and Chuck Schumer, who is now the majority leader of the Senate, has signaled that he will immediately take it to a vote, and Democrats will approve this with a 51-50 vote. However, keep in mind that although Mitch McConnell is now the minority leader, he still has the power to filibuster. So the filibuster and that 60-vote threshold will determine when we'll get this stimulus check. Now, if Republicans filibuster, we will not be getting this check in February, and we'll then move into our second deadline, which is the middle to the end of March. Now, if you see at the end of March, March 27th on the right hand of your screen, that is red and signals a 2-week recess that the Senate will take once again. And that is why if we don't get these stimulus checks approved by the 12th, that next deadline would be March 26th. Now, with that said, we are still counting on bipartisan support. Mitch McConnell has shown a lot of willingness to work with Joe Biden. Now, not only did McConnell skip the Trump exit ceremony, he also attended Biden's inauguration, as well as that Biden church service, which he didn't have to go to. And I've said it many times in my videos that Mitch McConnell has a long history of not only getting deals done with Biden, but even respecting and considering Biden a friend. Now, with that said, recently, Mitch McConnell, on the other hand, has not been working really well with Chuck Schumer. So as Chuck Schumer is now the majority leader in the Senate, Mitch McConnell is still the minority leader. So these two need to work together. Now, it has been documented that Mitch McConnell has been slowing down that transfer of power between Republicans and Democrats in the Senate. Now, this is a bad sign. So on the one hand, we have a bad signal here for bipartisan support, but on the other hand, Mitch McConnell has shown that he does support Biden and has told Republicans to set their differences aside to work in a bipartisan fashion. So just to recap here, if we do get that bipartisan support and we don't get a filibuster, Mitch McConnell just needs to get about a dozen Republicans on board in the Senate, and at that point, we will have this stimulus approved by February 12th. That is our best case scenario timeline. Now, if bipartisan support does happen, but the negotiations take a bit longer, we will then move into March, at which point we would hope to get that bipartisan support approved by March 15th, because that is when that unemployment boost expires. But a more realistic scenario would be March 26th, because these negotiations tend to take longer than you'd think. And March 27th is when the Senate is set to go on recess once again. Now, at that point, by the end of March, if we don't get a bipartisan support, Joe Biden is then expected to use his backup plan, which is that budget reconciliation plan, to then approve stimulus, at which point we would not have that stimulus until the end of April or even early May. This is why that is Joe Biden's plan B, because it would take a lot longer. That budget reconciliation process is really cumbersome and really, really detailed. Not only would it take a lot longer to get done, it would also eliminate some things that Joe Biden wants to include, like that $15 per hour minimum wage and many other things that would not be able to be included in this budget reconciliation. But that is our worst case scenario. Using budget reconciliation would put us at late April to early May in getting that stimulus check. Bipartisan support could get this done in early to mid-February, but extend potentially into March. Now let's talk about the different factors that would decide whether you'll get this in February or the end of March through bipartisan support. Now before I do, I quickly want to mention the fact that Joe Biden has promised to increase a $200 per month Social Security stimulus boost for everyone on Social Security benefits. Now, he did not include that in his proposal, but he has promised to get that done in his first 100 days. So for those on Social Security, we have not forgotten about you, and I will have a detailed video on that this weekend to keep you updated on that Social Security boost. Well, I also want to cover this article by CNN titled, "Why the GOP Still Controls the Senate." Now, a lot of people are talking about the fact that I continue to mention Mitch McConnell. Why do I continue to mention Mitch when Democrats technically control the Senate and Chuck Schumer is the majority leader? Well, guys, it all goes back to the filibuster. Filibuster, filibuster, filibuster. Like I said previously in this video, unless Mitch McConnell gets about a dozen Republicans on board, they will filibuster, and that means the earliest we would get stimulus at that point would be late March or even April or May if we have to go through budget reconciliation. And this is why Bernie Sanders is saying that we should work with the GOP, but if they don't adopt Biden's plan quickly within those first 2 weeks, then Democrats should then move to budget reconciliation immediately. Now, just to go back here, Bernie Sanders is saying these first 2 weeks in February right here, if Republicans don't get on board by February 12th, Bernie Sanders is essentially saying that they should then begin that reconciliation process to then, even with that reconciliation process, pass this by late March, speeding up that reconciliation process. Now, Joe Biden does not want to do that. He wants to give Republicans a reasonable amount of time to try and compromise, and this is why he's going to most likely give them until March to get that done on a bipartisan level. But there is another wrench in the plans. Now, it has been reported that Pelosi intends to deliver to the Senate the impeachment of Donald Trump on Monday. Now, guys, let me know in the comments, do you think Donald Trump should be convicted? The point of this would be to bar him from ever running for presidency again. Let me know if you agree, but whether or not you want that to happen, this will slow down stimulus. And this is why Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell are calling for a delay in the impeachment trial, because some Republican senators have already said that if they bring this to impeachment next week, nothing else will get done until that trial is completed. They said, we won't be doing any confirmations, we won't be doing any stimulus relief voting, and we won't be doing anything else other than impeaching a person who's not even president. Some Republicans are threatening to delay stimulus if this impeachment is brought to the Senate next week. Now, this seems to signal somewhat of a disconnect between Pelosi and Biden. Now, Biden's number one priority has been to get this stimulus done. Now, at the same time, Pelosi is saying, no, let's do them both at the same time. But Pelosi is going to shoot herself in the foot and shoot everyone in the foot by delaying stimulus. And top Democratic senators have said that delaying that impeachment would help get stimulus done quickly. Let's see what Democratic Senator Dick Durbin had to say regarding getting stimulus done more quickly if they delay that impeachment trial.
Realistically, could you, if there were a 2-week delay, not just get some cabinet picks approved, but get a stimulus package through? Nancy Pelosi says that she could have it already by February 1st.
Well, I can tell you that it's a high priority. Whether we can achieve it that quickly in the Senate with a 50-50 split remains to be seen. We still need an organizing resolution, which means Senator McConnell and Senator Schumer have to agree on the basics. How many members will be on each one of the committees, and what's the split between the two parties, and the procedure that's going to be followed. That needs to be done. There's a sense of importance and urgency on that, too. I want to get down to business in the Senate Judiciary Committee. We want a hearing on domestic terrorist groups, the kind that invaded the Capitol here on January 6th, and a lot of other issues that are very timely.
If you cannot come, one of the sticking points in those negotiations is the question of the filibuster. I want to get to that in a moment. But if you can't come to agreement with Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, would you and the Majority Leader Schumer be willing to go to reconciliation to get stimulus passed?
I'm not ruling that out, but in fact, that may be the avenue we follow. A more important approach would be to see if there is bipartisan support for passing the measure initially. It's a 50-50 Senate. We can't pass anything, the Republicans can't pass anything without bipartisanship. If we can establish that early on, I think it'll make a difference. I'm in a group of 16 senators, 8 Democrats and 8 Republicans, that moved the $908 billion COVID relief package that passed a few weeks ago. There's a sense there that we want to be more productive and work together and have an actual floor debate that means something to the American people.
So whether or not you think Trump should be impeached and convicted, doing so right now will slow down stimulus. Now, we'll have to wait and see what happens, because if Democrats do bring that to the Senate, we will have a delay. So let's go back to that calendar. Now, like I said, best case scenario, these first 2 weeks in February, we'll get that bipartisan support. Now, this Monday, February 1st, is when Pelosi is expected, this Monday, January 25th, is when Pelosi is expected to bring that to the Senate. Now, if she does that, this window in February for stimulus is out the window, okay? Currently, we're at about a 50-50 chance, okay? Without an impeachment, we have a 50-50 chance of getting this done in February. With that impeachment trial, that is out the window, and then we're looking at a 50-50 chance of getting it done in March on a bipartisan level, and then a 50-50 chance of needing to use budget reconciliation to get this done in April or May. So that is where things stand in regards to that timeline for getting your stimulus check. Now, despite all of this, Biden is still confident that Congress will pass a bipartisan stimulus package, according to the White House press secretary. Now, that is very, very optimistic. But again, this all comes down to the relationship between Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell. That is the most important relationship in regards to stimulus, because if Joe Biden can get Mitch on board, Mitch can get a dozen Republicans. Mitch does have that power, but we'll have to wait and see what happens, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. I will keep you updated on timelines for that $1,400 stimulus check, the unemployment boost. rental assistance, as well as updates for those on Social Security as well. Let's talk about Democrats' secret weapon before we end this video. Now, the nuclear option is eliminating the filibuster, because all of this comes down to the filibuster. If Republicans could not block through a filibuster, this stimulus package would be approved essentially today, right? Well, can Democrats eliminate the filibuster, and is it right to do so? Would it be the right thing to do, or would it be a radical action to take? Well, first of all, let's recap the history of the filibuster. Mitch McConnell has adjusted the filibuster himself to his own benefit in the past. Mitch McConnell has lowered the threshold to get a filibuster beaten in order to approve the Supreme Court justices during Trump's administration. And all of you know, Trump appointed 3 Supreme Court justices throughout his administration. So previously, it took more votes to get that done. And then Mitch McConnell adjusted the rules for the filibuster to exclude Supreme Court justices. This is why a Supreme Court justice can be approved and appointed with only a small majority, 51 votes in the Senate. Previously, that still required that 60 vote to beat a filibuster, right? So Mitch McConnell, on the one hand, has adjusted the filibuster rules to his advantage, but if Democrats eliminate it completely, he will say the Democrats are being radical leftists and are trying to take over the government, despite the fact that Mitch McConnell has done something similar himself. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments. These are just the facts that I'm laying out. And with that said, though, there are a handful of Democrats that might not vote for this, because Democrats would need a 51 vote to get this done. Of course, Kamala Harris would be the 51st vote to be the tiebreaker, but they would need all 50 Democratic senators to vote yes for this. And there are already 3 or 4 moderate Democrats who most likely would not vote for this. So this is why Democrats kind of have their hands tied. They could eliminate the filibuster, pass stimulus immediately, increase that minimum wage to $15 per hour, as well as do basically most of what they want in these first 2 years of Biden's administration. However, they would have to get those few moderate Democrats on board to do so. Now, some experts think that despite the fact that those moderate Democrats initially won't want to do that, if Republicans continue to filibuster for 6 months, 8 months, that those moderate Democrats might give in, essentially giving Democrats free rein to pass whatever they would like with a 51% majority in the Senate. So with that said, I'd just like to recap our expected timeline to get those stimulus checks. Best case scenario is the middle of February. Now, if we have an impeachment, that is not going to happen at a bipartisan level, pushing us into March, hoping for bipartisan support in March. If that still doesn't happen, Biden will most likely then move to the budget reconciliation move, at which point we'll have that stimulus either late April or early May, guys. But don't forget to subscribe. I will keep you updated on that timeline. Now, before I end this video, I do want to cover something everyone's talking about. Now, all of you have probably seen that our National Guard, who was protecting the Capitol, was kicked out of the Capitol building and sent to sleep overnight in a nearby parking lot, sleeping on concrete ground, guys. Let me know in the comments. Obviously, that's completely not okay. These are our soldiers. These are our military protecting our Capitol. They should be treated much better than this. Now, a Republican representative named Madison Cawhorn was on camera not only giving out pizza, it's a pretty heartwarming video, he went to the parking lot, giving them his support, saying this is not okay. He passed out pizza to these good men, and he even said that these men could sleep in his office if need be. Guys, I'm going to leave you with this video, but with that said, thanks again for watching, and have a great day.
Yeah, that's good right there. Man, yeah, you know what? Have fun here. Which division is this? Maryland National Guard, Montana National Guard, Nevada National Guard. Well, hey, I'm talking to National Guard. That's an honor to meet you. Nice to meet you guys. I heard you guys got kicked downstairs. We sure did. All right, man. You mind if I talk to you guys? Absolutely. Hey, everybody, got your guys' attention? Hey, guys, my name's Madison Cawthorn. I heard they kicked your asses down here, so we brought some pizza if anybody wants any. Yeah, sure. Thank you. Whatever you need me to do. Thank you. What you do, I see you in Congress. Yes, sir. I see you thank you for what you do. That means the world, sir. Yeah, really. Thank you very much. Hey, man. Here, you got something you really need to go. There we go. Right. Thank you. Hey. All right, there we go. What you next? Thank you, Jamie. What do you say? What's all this for? Just because.